Posting content on LinkedIn is the #1 way to build your personal brand as a business owner, because the right content will help you reach millions of people, build your influence online, and grow your business. And in this video, I'll break down the exact formula I teach my clients to write viral and high converting content so that they can become the #1 LinkedIn profile in their niche. And I know this works because I've personally signed hundreds of clients through my own personal brand on LinkedIn. I've helped over 300 people do the same. And LinkedIn is so slept on. It's home to over 61 million senior level influencers, over 10 million senior decision makers, and drives 277% more B2B leads than Facebook. So you really are wasting the biggest growth tool at your disposal if you're not using it properly. But the thing is, this opportunity is not going to be here forever. I know you've been sleeping on this for months, if not years, whilst your favorite entrepreneurs are already starting to capitalize. It is more powerful than any other lead generation tool you've used if you know how to use it properly. Soon, everyone will be doing this, but if you can get ahead before that, you will always have the upper hand over your competitors. So let me take you through the only content strategy you ever need to build your audience, increase your influence, and sign clients on LinkedIn. I'll show you how to write viral content and my secrets for increasing visibility, authority, and credibility. Oh, and at the end of this video, I'll also share 3 algorithm hacks that you can use to instantly drive up the performance of your posts. Now, here's the thing. 10 years ago, having a great product was enough. If you had a great product or you're an expert in what you do, your work would almost do the talking. But today, those are table stakes. Every market is now more competitive, and standing out requires you to be consistently building trust online. And that's where content really is like a 24/7 salesperson. And it's proven. Clients, leads, talent, and investors are influenced by the content you're publishing. In fact, 98.2% of people said the expertise of a senior leadership team influences their decision to buy from a company. Nearly 86% of people would pay 2 times more for someone they know as an industry-leading expert. And over 50% of people would pay at least 5 times more. The evidence is clear. Publishing high-quality content online is a non-negotiable for building your authority and credibility. But the wrong content will fall on deaf ears, or worse, it will actually do your reputation more harm than good. So how do you know you're posting the right content? Well, just follow my GAC system, because actually the strategy is very simple. If we think about it logically, there are only ever 3 things you need to do in order to build trust online and grow your business. First thing you've got to do is get in front of new people, right? You need to increase the pool of people that knows you exist, because the first step to anyone becoming a client is they have to actually know who you are in the first place. It all starts with attention. So some of your content should be geared towards just getting you in front of new people. You need to increase that pool of people that knows who you are. Otherwise, you're always going to be limited to your existing network, and the number of people that could work with you is always going to be capped. So some of your content should be geared towards getting in front of new people. But you also want to build trust with those people. We all know the kind of scenarios where someone has hundreds of thousands of followers, but they can't actually monetize their audience. It's because people don't actually trust them. At the same time, I know people with just a few thousand followers that are generating millions from their personal brands. So you also need to build trust with the existing pool of people that knows you exist. So some of your content is purely around building up authority. And once you've done those 2 things, well, the final step is actually to convert those people that know who you are and already trust you and see you as an expert into opportunities, leads, or clients. So some of your content should be geared towards converting them. And that gives us our GAC system. Some of our content should be geared towards growing our audience. Some of it should be geared towards building authority. And some of it is purely to convert our connections into clients. And this really follows the structure of a traditional marketing funnel. You have growth-based content to increase the number of people coming into the top of your funnel. You have authority content to nurture them into warm leads. And then you have conversion content to nurture those warm, interested people into bookings in your calendar, DM conversations, or even customers for your business. And yeah, this is the exact strategy I use to, generate posts that get hundreds of thousands of views, but also fill up me and my team's calendars with qualified appointments every single week. Now, before we get into the formula of writing viral content every single time, I want to show you the basics of great content so that you can start to replicate some of these things for yourself. Now, every great piece of content gives people 4 reasons. Okay, there are 4 reasons you've got to give in every high quality piece of content. The first thing you've got to give is a reason to read. Now, the reason you've got to give people a reason to read is because when they're scrolling LinkedIn or any social media platform, there are hundreds, if not thousands of posts in that feed that they could choose to consume. They've also got notifications coming in, messages, stimuli in the environment, not to mention the fact that we're a pretty fickle species. Our attention spans are very, very short nowadays. it's quite difficult to actually capture people's attention and get them to stop on your post specifically. Why, out of the thousands of stimuli in their environment, should they focus on the one you're providing? So instantly, you've got to give people a reason to read. So you have to start with a strong angle and a strong hook to capture people's interest. Otherwise, the rest of your post is pretty much pointless. But you've also got to give them a reason to trust you. Because, look, honestly, you're not going to be the only one talking about this particular topic. So why should your audience trust you specifically? What credibility do you have to be speaking about this particular topic that would make someone listen to you? There's an unspoken question in everyone's minds when they come across your posts, which is, why should I listen to you? And if you can give them a reason to trust you, they're going to stay throughout the whole piece of content. You also want to give them a reason to remember. What you don't want is someone to consume one piece of content from you and then completely forget about you and never consume anything again. You're trying to build a loyal audience of fans here that are going to come back and consume your content over and over again. So you've got to give people a reason to remember you. And the way we do this is with a really catchy takeaway towards the end of your content. Sum up what you've told them in the most interesting and engaging way possible. And finally, you want to give people a reason to engage, because engagement drives performance in the algorithm. The more engagement you get, the more people are going to see your content. The more views, followers, and leads you're going to be able to generate. So giving people a reason to engage might look like asking a question, stimulating conversation, or simply a call to action to actually tell them to comment something. Now, before we look at some specific algorithm hacks, let me show you the formula for writing viral posts every single time. There are 7 steps you can follow if you want to write viral posts every single time. And it starts off with finding the right angle. So the same topic can be very, very interesting or very boring depending on the angle you approach it with, right? So if I started this video by saying something like how to write good LinkedIn posts, it's pretty boring, right? But if I talk about the same topic by introducing it as here's how I write viral posts every time, suddenly it's more interesting. Or the unconventional strategy I use to write viral posts, it's suddenly a lot more interesting. So the first thing you've got to do is find the angle, and there's 4 different angles that you can use. You can use something that's contrarian, so it's not what people typically think, or it goes against common wisdom. You can use something that's surprising, maybe something that people haven't seen before, or pairing one thing with another that people wouldn't typically expect. Unexpected, similar to surprising, make it something that people wouldn't typically read on LinkedIn, or just simply evoke curiosity through the angle that you're sharing. So first thing you've got to do is find an angle that is interesting to talk about your specific topic. Then, as I alluded to before, you want to hook people in the first 1 to 2 lines. And there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either leave people on a cliffhanger, which is great for story-based content. So you want to share maybe the middle and the end of the story, but not the start, or the start and the end, but not the middle, or maybe the start and the middle, but not the end. Starting with a cliffhanger in your hook is going to leave people wanting more, so they're going to read the rest of the post to find out what you share next. For more educational content, you can promise value. So you can promise to teach people something. These are the 2 ways to hook people in and get them actually consuming the rest of your post. And if you don't do this, as I said before, the rest of your post is pretty much pointless. But once you've hooked people in and you've left them on a cliffhanger or you've promised some value, you've actually got to provide that value. Because if you promise something and then don't deliver it, well, your content quickly becomes clickbait. And that's not the kind of reputation that you really want to build up. When I say value, though, most people typically think about education, teaching people something. But actually, value can come in a number of forms. Yes, it could be education, but it could also be entertainment. It could be making them laugh or giving them a nice experience. It could be a moment of inspiration. It could just be that they relate to the content you share. So value doesn't always need to be education. It could be any one of these 4 things. There's a key word here, though, which is digestible. Your value doesn't need to just be present, it needs to be digestible as well. So it actually needs to be easy to consume. I think a lot of us overestimate the attention spans and education levels of a lot of the people that will be reading your content. Actually, most Americans are below a grade 5 reading level. So your content should be at a grade 5 level for maximum engagement. You want to write really simple. Use short sentences, include lots of white space. You don't want to be writing in big blocks of text, big paragraphs, because it makes it very difficult to scan and understand the key points. Most people are not going to be reading your post word by word. They're actually going to be scanning through it and looking for the key bits of information. You can also use frameworks and processes to condense complex information into something that's easy to follow. Frameworks and processes tend to increase the perceived value of what you're sharing as well, because it's not just information, it's something that they can actually implement straight away. And you can use lists where appropriate, again, to condense long paragraphs into short, manageable chunks of text. Once you've done that, you want to end with a mic drop takeaway. This is going to be the thing that people actually remember. So imagine you're giving a speech on stage, you've given the 15, 20-minute keynote, you get to the end, and you've got your final message, the punchline, the mic drop moment, which you deliver, and then you drop your mic and you walk off stage and everyone applauds. We want to create a similar thing in our post by telling people what we've just told them in the most catchy and engaging way possible. This is your mic drop moment. It should be memorable, it should be catchy. It's going to be the thing that they leave that post with them holding it in their mind. What you can also do is add a PS section. So PS is one of the most underrated parts of a post because it will actually be one of the most read parts of a post. In emails, the PS is the second most read part after the subject line. So make sure you're leveraging a PS section in your post. You could use a call to action in there to drive people to engage. You could add some further value by adding maybe a pro tip, or you could signal authority by sharing some of the results you've achieved with the system or the framework or the education that you've just provided. And the final thing is to use complementary creative. So your creative should complement the content. When I say creative, it could be a carousel, a video, an image, a quote, a graphic, whatever that piece of creative is. It should complement the text that you use. Okay? It shouldn't say exactly the same thing because that's a wasted opportunity, but it shouldn't be completely different. They should also both make sense on their own. So if someone just read the text, they should be able to get value and it should make sense. If someone just consumed the photo, the video, the carousel, whatever it was, again, it should still make sense on its own. But when you put them together, they make even more value put together. So you want to use the creative to complement the content, not as something that has to go alongside it. They only make sense if they go together, not as something that's completely different, but two things that make sense on their own and make even more value when they're put together. And that is the formula for writing viral posts. If you do that, you're going to be able to write posts that get potentially hundreds of thousands of views. There are a few things you can do outside of just posting that are also going to increase the results you're able to generate. This is the engagement formula you're going to use to drive up your post performance. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to respond to all the comments you get on your content within the first hour. Comments are a massive driver of your post's performance in the algorithm. LinkedIn essentially evaluates how many comments, as well as likes, reactions, sends, saves, and view time you're getting in order to determine whether your post is a good piece of content that should be pushed to more people. But it won't differentiate between your comments and your audience's comments. So if other people are commenting and you go in and reply to every single comment, you are instantly doubling the number of comments you're getting on your post. And this is particularly important in the first hour. What's more, if you reply to your audience, they'll probably come and engage with you next time, so you're validating their decision to engage with you, but they might also then reply to your reply, which could mean you could triple the number of comments you're getting on your post simply by having the initiative to actually go in and respond to them. So make sure you're responding to comments on your post, especially in the first hour. I also want you to comment on 5 industry posts per day. Now, if you're commenting on content from other people in your industry, the chances are other people consuming that content would be interested in what you have to say as well. So by commenting on other people's posts that are maybe similar to you, you're almost piggybacking off their reach and using that reach to get in front of your audience. And actually, we're seeing comments get loads and loads of impressions now. People are actually using comments almost as pieces of content themselves. So if you want to piggyback off other people in the industry's reach, make sure you're leaving comments on the content. But don't try and do loads. Don't leave hundreds of love this, great post, awesome comments every single day because it's pointless. Instead, just do 5. Stick to 5, even 3 to 5 comments per day that are meaningful and actually add to the conversation are going to have a far bigger impact on your growth. See if you can comment on 5 posts from other people in your industry every single day. You're also going to send connection requests to 80 ICPs, so 80 of your ideal customer persona. Now, LinkedIn will allow you to send up to 100 connection requests per week straight through the platform. I want you to use 80 of these to connect to ICPs because that's going to put them directly into your network where they're far more likely to see the content. And these people, this is who you're creating the content for. So they are likely to find it useful and interesting and therefore engage, probably buy from you in the future. So you want to connect with 80 ICPs every week. And I also want you to connect with 20 industry figures. So this is 20 people within the industry that would probably be interested in your content as well. They're probably not going to buy from you, but they're in the industry, probably have an audience of people that might buy from you. And by commenting on your content, they're going to expose you to their audience. So you want to be connecting with 20 of these people every day as well. And if you do those 4 things, your content is going to massively improve in performance. What I don't want you to do though is spend 5 hours per day leaving hundreds of comments. Like, you got a life, you got a job, you got a family. Don't be doing this. Some of the LinkedIn gurus are going to tell you to spend 5 hours per day commenting. Don't do it. It's a complete waste of time. If you just do those 4 things and use my formula for writing viral and high converting posts, you're going to be building a large and profitable audience on LinkedIn. And guys, if you found this video useful, I recommend subscribing to the channel because look, I've got loads more to teach, loads more where this came from. So if you want to see breakdowns of all of this stuff, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss another video.